Well, here we are after game number 2. Leafs in Ottawa against the lowly Sens. And they're in Ottawa again tomorrow night. Looking at the schedule, I thought this was going to be a home and home, but that's actually the Leafs will not be at home against Ottawa for one of these two. They're going to be in Ottawa for both. So I guess this is because of a COVID thing with the scheduling. Is that instead of having a home and home series where the first game's in Ottawa, the second game's in Toronto, they're going to do 2 in a row in Ottawa, which is going to be common on this schedule just to reduce travel arrangements and stuff like that, and more chances of getting COVID and stuff. So that makes sense to me. It's just kind of weird. So tonight was the first game in Ottawa. They play again in Ottawa tomorrow night. And the Sens, as crappy as they are, have given the Leafs fits over the last few years. And I don't know what it is, but it's irritating. And then it was no different tonight. So Leafs had a much better start tonight. That was kind of my one big knock on them in the first game of the season against Montreal, is that they just didn't have a good start. They were outplayed right off the hop and had to climb back into it. In this one, they started pretty well, and halfway through the period, they managed to get on the board first, and they were still looking strong. I forget who got the first goal. Hyman. Hyman got a nice little goal. A Tavares shot, I believe it was, hit Murray high and bounced up into the air, and Hyman choked up on his stick and laid a little bunt right into the top corner of the net, and they reviewed it, but didn't find any evidence to be able to overturn the call that his stick was too high. And so there we go, 1-0 lead. Just before the end of the period, while the Sens were on the power play, they would strike back and tie it at 1 just before the end of the period. Another late period goal, which they suffered against Montreal, which is always a killer. So they were primed to go to the break 1-0, but ended up going there 1-1. And at this point, things were looking good for the Leafs. I thought they were the better team. They were the faster team, the hungrier team. They were looking good on the power play. They really, the Hyman goal was a power play goal. And their power play was really throwing the puck around really well. The first power play started off slow, but by the end of it, like, they got 5 shots on the one power play, and it all came in the last 20-30 seconds of the first power play, and the next one looked really good, and that's the one they scored on, and so things were looking good. In the second period, they would do the same thing. They would score again about halfway through the period. This one was Kerfoot got his first goal of the season. It came to him kind of they were talking about this, the commentators tonight, that the Leafs are trying this new thing where they kind of have when they're in the offensive zone, they have 3 guys high along the blue line. One of the forwards will pop up to the middle of the blue line, and I guess it's hard to defend because the opposing forwards don't know which guy is supposed to go get him, and sort of thing. So Kerfoot, the puck came to him in the middle of the blue line. He was open. He delayed, stutter stepped a bit, and then finally let go of the puck with a hard wrist shot once traffic developed, and it went through a bunch of bodies and past a screen Murray for a nice little tally, which gave the Leafs at that point a 2-1 lead. Still looking good. All of a sudden, not even sure it was a minute after the Kerfoot goal, the Leafs went to sleep for a 5-minute stretch, and Ottawa scored 3 goals. Fuck. And all of a sudden, they were up 2-1. Now they're down 4-2 or whatever it was. And it was just like, what the hell happened, They were in control of this game right from the get-go. They were looking good. They weren't playing a super physical game, but they were still by far the better team, I thought. But Ottawa just managed to, every little turnover the Leafs made, Ottawa took advantage of. They scored some power play goals on the Leafs, I believe in that little batch there. A 5-on-3 there was even, and they managed to put it in. And and then all of a sudden the Leafs are playing from behind again, just like they were in Montreal. Only this time they would not be able to come back and win the game. The teams would trade goals in the third period, and that's how it would end, 5-3. Kind of as much as the first half of the game was good and they controlled it, that letdown in the second period really kind of took the wind out of their sails, and they would show little fits that they were getting back into it, but it wasn't enough. Fred was shaky again, like he was against Montreal. He made some good saves, but a couple of the goals, nothing he could have done. Of the first one on the power play, went over to Shabbat on a one-timer across ice. There was nothing he could have done on that one. One of them was a tip right in front, but then other ones where he had troubles controlling the rebound, and then they were able to slip it past him. Just so very similar to one of the Montreal goals in the opening game, and so Fred, although he made some good saves at times, he also didn't look good at other times. So typically, I've noticed over the years that he is a bit of a slow starter. So the first maybe 10 games of the season or so, he might not look the greatest. So I'm kind of used to that, so I'm not worrying too much about it in this situation because that's just kind of the way he starts. But this season's a little different because in an 82-game season, you can have your goalie maybe falter a bit at the start, but still have enough time to get over that. But in a shortened 56-game schedule, that's more of a factor that might shoot the Leafs in the foot, right? So hopefully he can get a control on that and reel that in. TJ Brody, the big defenseman they acquired, he made a couple bad giveaways in this game, and he hasn't really looked all that great yet. Simmons, I think, has been really good. He's been playing on, I think, the second power play unit, and tonight he was really pissed off at somebody, really wanted to rip somebody's face off. The refs kind of got in his face and got him out of there, but he's looking like he's bringing more passion and a willingness to get dirty and get the flippers going. So that's good to see. They really, really need that physical aspect to their game. And other than that, Tavares, I think he got the third goal. Excuse me. I just fell asleep playing video games in the living room and was just spread eagle on the floor for about half an hour, and I woke up and I was like, what the hell? Getting old. It's brutal. So Tavares has been good. He got the third goal, a really good wrist shot off the inside post, and he's looked really good so far. Marner's had flashes. He's starting to, I think, maybe get going. Matthews, by far, though, has been the best. He's just a beast. Like, the more seasons this guy plays, the better and better he gets, and you can just tell that he's heads and above the best player on the team. And he's just been flying for these first two games of the season. So I'm surprised he hasn't scored yet because he's had some really good chances in his shot. Jesus Christ. I think it's only gotten better over, between seasons here. So he's been great. So there's been some really good performances from guys. There's been some bad performances, and then there's been some up and downs, right, in these first two games. But again, I'm not reading too much into it at this point. I want to give him a half dozen games to get into game shape, to get the new acquisitions run in. I'm not worried about Brody. I'm not worried about Joe Thornton fitting in. I know it's all going to come together. It's just a matter of when. And again, in a shortened season like this, it's the longer it takes, the worse off they're going to be, right? So yeah, like I said, I'm going to give it a half dozen games and just kind of watch and see what happens, but I'm not going to worry just yet. And yeah, I just hope that they can turn things around and get things going. But again, Ottawa gives them fits. So the fact that they lost tonight, as much as it sucks, as much as I hate it because I hate Ottawa, it's kind of not surprising because for some reason they just seem to have the Leafs number. No matter how good the Leafs are, no matter how shitty the Ottawa Senators are, they give them these problems, right? So that's another factor that I'm not worrying too much about their performance tonight and the end result there. So they had a bad start against Montreal. They corrected that and had a really good start against Ottawa. So that's good to see that they addressed that. Other than falling asleep for about 5 minutes in the second period, they probably would have won this game. So again, not worrying too much. Gonna give it some time. They'll they'll do what they have to do. The coaching staff will sort things out. Hopefully things will be better in the second round tomorrow night. And the next time I'm talking, they will have won against Ottawa and bank 2 more points. But I guess we won't find out until the game's played. So talk to you tomorrow.